my beautiful lovelies, it's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep are the makers of premium mattresses and bedding that are customized to fit your needs and conveniently delivered right to your doorstep. We've had our Helix Sleep mattress now for a couple years and we are getting a terrific sleep. Our backs feel supported, we wake up well rested, and Helix has a great sleep quiz that makes choosing a mattress so easy and simple. You just enter your sleeping preferences and it will find you the perfect match. For example, I am a side sleeper, I prefer a firmer style mattress, and I share my bed with my husband, who also took the quiz, and it came up with the perfect compromise for the Helix Sleep Dusk Luxe. We get terrific sleep, and at this point, my entire immediate family has a Helix Sleep mattress, and they are getting great sleep as well. Helix has a lineup of 20 unique mattresses to choose from and recently launched a series of mattress toppers offering sleep solutions for everyone. They recently sent me the premium mattress topper, which is really great for relieving pressure off your shoulders and your hips. And we've been using it on our guest bed, and our guests have been getting terrific sleep. All Helix Sleep mattresses come with a 120-night sleep trial to make sure you love it and a lifetime warranty. Helix also guarantees seamless returns and exchanges. All Helix Sleep mattresses ship for free in the US and come rolled up in a cardboard box for easy installation. And I really love that because it allowed us to get our mattress up a narrow flight of stairs, and I installed the mattress myself. So New Year's is a perfect time to reset and recalibrate, and why not reset your space with a Helix Sleep mattress? You can click the link down below or head over to helixsleep.com/emmymade to take advantage of their New Year's exclusive partner sale. It's 27% off. Big thanks to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video and for their continued support so I can make better videos for all of you. All right, my lovelies, today we're going to be baking a loaf of sourdough bread. Now, if you follow me on social media, if you don't already, you definitely should. You know that I bake at least one loaf of sourdough bread a week. I find it's a lot easier for me to digest and it tastes delicious, and particularly during the colder season, there's nothing better than warming up the house with the smells of freshly baked bread. Now today's loaf is going to be a little bit different. It's a loaf I've never made before. It is a croissant inspired loaf of bread. That already sounds fantastic. It comes from Amy Bakes Bread, and I'll put a link down below to the original recipe. It's essentially a loaf of sourdough that we incorporate a stick of grated butter to the dough so that when we bake it, we get nice laminated dough, meaning that there's layers of dough and butter incorporated so that it's buttery and flaky, similar to a croissant, which sounds absolutely wonderful. If you want to make traditional croissants, I did a very labor-intensive video a few years back with stellar results. If you are curious, I'll put a link to that down below. But today we are baking bread. Through the years, I've gotten a lot of requests and inquiries about sourdough making. It does seem a bit mysterious, but the gist of it is actually quite simple, and you can incorporate it into your daily schedule pretty easily. What is sourdough? Sourdough is a live culture that contains yeast and bacteria, and that will leaven our bread. That will make our bread rise. It's what people used to make bread rise before we could buy store-bought yeast. The yeast cultures are alive in here and we have to keep feeding it. So what does that mean? Well, that means this little colony of yeast and bacteria here are alive and they eat the flour and create carbon dioxide gas, which makes our bread rise. So we want them to be really active and hungry and eating. So we need to give it flour and water on a regular basis. Now, this is my sourdough. His name is Geoff. I have a very small amount of sourdough in here, and I found that this has worked famously for me. Through the years, I've had large jars of sourdough starter in my refrigerator, and I always would feel guilty about having to dispose of a lot of it. When you feed your sourdough, you remove a bulk of it and then add more flour and water. And what you remove is the discard, which you can use in other recipes. But I would have a cup or two of it, and I always would feel guilty if I didn't use it to make pancakes or some kind of recipe, and then would have to compost it. There's about 55 grams in here of starter. Now this isn't very active because I just fed it, meaning I removed a big chunk of it and just left the tiniest amount and gave new flour and new water, which it's eating right now. And then I put this in the refrigerator, and then it will still continue to grow, but very slowly. And then when it gets nice and active again, I know I'm ready to bake bread, which for me is a couple days in the refrigerator. Big roundabout way of saying that you cannot take up a lot of room in your refrigerator, just have a small amount of starter and still bake beautiful loaves of bread every week if you like, or not. It's very, very forgiving. But I only had 50 grams. So what you do is you increase that amount to whatever the recipe calls for. Calls for 120 grams of starter or levain. Do that the evening before I'm going to bake bread. So then you add equal amounts of flour and water to get to your 120 grams for the recipe. This is what I have in my bowl right here. I love reusing these shower caps. It's a great way to cover your starter and see what's going on. But look how bubbly and gorgeous that is. Bread is a wonderful thing, and a basic bread recipe consists simply of your starter, flour, water, and some salt. So my starter is already pre-measured. This is 120 grams, and to that I'm going to add 340 grams of water. I always like adding the water to the starter as a way to kind of dissolve it. 500 grams of bread flour. Now bread flour has more gluten in it, and that's great for bread making because it makes for a nice chewy loaf. This is super important. Don't forget the salt. Bread whisk, and we're going to stir this around. So right now you can see it's quite shaggy. Now instead of kneading the dough and working it for 10 or 15 minutes to get it nice and elastic, you do a series of stretch and folds, usually over a period of an hour and a half or so. And all you do is every half hour, take the dough and we're going to lift it and stretch it and fold it. And you'll see it's kind of a miraculous thing. Just after half an hour, how the texture of the dough changes. Really cool to see how the dough transforms. If you're into transformations and things like that, I certainly am. I love watching wig tutorials and makeup tutorials simply for that reason, or hoof trimming tutorials. I love the transformation. Cover it up, and I'll come back in half an hour and do my first stretch and fold. Back for our first series of stretch and folds. Here's our dough, looking lumpy and bumpy. And I've got a little bit of water here to moisten my hands because this dough is going to be a little bit wet. So now what we're going to do is grab the dough. See how it's all lumpy and bumpy and shaggy? It's okay. Lift it and fold it. Lift it again. And see how it's not really stretching much? It's kind of stiff. That will change. It needs a lot of kind of coaxing right now. So I usually do this maybe 4 times. Face it down. Cover it. Wait another half an hour. Alrighty lovelies, back for the second stretch and fold, and this is when we're going to introduce the butter. 1 stick of butter, about 113 grams, and we're going to grate it on the large tooth part of our grater here. Of course, you want the butter to be cold so you can grate it. The reason why we want to keep the butter cold is because the butter is what's going to create the layers in the bread. If it melts, it's going to get incorporated into the dough too much and we won't get nice flaky layers. Here is the sourdough, and it's looking a little bit less ragged. We're going to incorporate half of this butter, and we're going to lift, and see already it's so much stretchier, and fold it over. Over. First butter introduction. Now I'm going to do 2 more stretch and folds. So in another half an hour, I'm going to add the rest of that butter in, fold it, and then I'm going to wait another half an hour and then do our last stretch and fold. And then we're going to cover and then do our bulk fermentation. Just let it cover and rest. So when I left you, we did all of our stretch folds and then we let the dough sit for the bulk fermentation. So once it's doubled in size, we're going to turn it out onto a counter and we're going to shape it. So now you're going to draw up the sides of the dough and kind of tighten things up to kind of get into a round shape, tuck things under. This is a Benetton. It's a little mold. It's made out of cane, and I have one of these liners. It's cloth liner. It looks a lot like a shower cap. If you don't have one of these, you could use a bowl, line it with a flour sack towel, and then I like using rice flour because it doesn't contain any gluten, so the dough will not stick to it. If you don't have that, you could just liberally dust it with flour. You're going to place your dough in there with the smooth side facing down, the seam facing up. Cover it and then place it in the refrigerator for a nice long cold fermentation. I did mine overnight. If you want bread right away, you're still going to place your dough into your form, let it proof and rest at room temperature for a couple of hours until it's nice and poofy, and then you're going to place it into the refrigerator or the freezer for it to chill because you want that butter to be nice and cold before you bake it. When you're ready to bake, you're going to take a cast iron Dutch oven that will fit your dough, place it into your oven and preheat it at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. You want to do this for at least 20 minutes because the point is to get everything really toasty and hot. While this is happening, your dough is chilling in the refrigerator. Invert it onto a piece of parchment paper. I like to cut mine into a little plus sign. It makes it easier to go into the pot. And then you're going to take a sharp razor blade or a lamb and you're going to slice the top of the bread, score it. I like doing a plus sign, super simple, easy. Go in about a ½ inch. And then with pot holders and oven mitts, take your hot Dutch oven out of the oven, take off the lid, place the bread dough into the Dutch oven, quickly cover it and place the whole lot back into the oven. You're going to reduce the temperature down to 425 degrees and bake it for 25 minutes. After 25 minutes, you're going to put your oven mitts on and remove the lid. Your bread should be nice and poofy now. Now we're going to get the nice golden toast on it. Place it all back into the oven without the lid for an additional 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, take the bread out and it should look, oh my goodness, look at this. It's such a stunner. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. Isn't that loaf beautiful? Just absolutely lovely. The plus sign has expanded. It has a beautiful golden color. It's still warm, just came out of the oven. Now, I know it may seem like you need something fancy like this to bake a loaf of beautiful bread, but you really don't. I remember a snippet from Kitty Tate's book, Bread Song. If you don't know that book, it's absolutely lovely. Highly recommend it. Great recipes, but just an even lovelier story. And she talked about shaping loaves in bicycle helmets. This is nice though, because it leaves a nice kind of pattern on your bread. Can you see that a little bit? It leaves those little kind of stamped patterns. So in lots of bread recipes, they tell you, instruct you to allow the bread to cool before slicing. It's to keep it from getting gummy. I completely get that. But I often cut my bread when it's warm because it's warm bread, right? And what I'm about to do here is really what captured me and convinced me to make this recipe. In Amy's video, she crunches the bread. She squishes it and it makes this beautiful crunch. So I'm gonna do that just so I can hear it, even though this is perfection. Can you see this perfection? We're gonna now crunch the bread. Yes. And it crunches and then it springs right back up. Okay, and now we're gonna tear the bread. Oh my gosh, I don't want to. Oh, steaming hot. Gorgeousness. Look at this loaf. Alrighty, this gorgeous. Now I'm gonna have my very first taste of a croissant inspired sourdough loaf. Itadakimasu. Wow. Really good. So first off, it's super flavorful. It's got a lovely perfume and flavor of butter, along with a pleasant, gentle tang of sourdough. And that's what I've recently learned since baking with sourdough. I always associate a very, very sour flavor with sourdough, maybe because I grew up in California. San Francisco sourdough tends to be very sour, and I don't love that. But I've learned that sourdough bread does not have to be super sour. In fact, the bread that I make every week does not taste sour. If you use your starter regularly, every day, every couple of days, every few days, it doesn't develop that sour flavor. I think it's actually the bacteria that creates that sour flavor. If you want it, you certainly can manifest that if you want, but I actually don't. But this has just a little bit of that. It's a complexity of flavor. It's like cultured butter. That's what it's like. Exactly like cultured butter. This is crisper than the regular loaf I make every week. Oh, hear that? Oh my gosh. So crunchy, yet the inside is fluffy. Look at that. Fluffy. Gorgeousness. Fantastic. Ah, sublimely good. This top, I was really curious about the ratio of butter to bread in this recipe. Would a stick of butter be too much? Would this be too decadent? Would it be just excessive? And it's not. It's like the amount of butter that you would add to a slice of bread if you were to make some toast. It's that kind of level. It's rich enough. I don't think I would need to add any butter to this if I were to slice this and toast this up. This is like perfect. It's like pre-buttered. That's gives you an idea of the ratio of butter to bread. It's just lovely. It's not greasy, oily, or heavy. Just the entire loaf is perfumed with butter. But it's not a croissant either. It's not so flaky and so pastry rich or heavy. It definitely remains a loaf of bread. Fantastic. I would definitely make this again. Alrighty, my lovelies, I'm about to share this with my family. We're gonna have this for lunch. I hope that made the whole process of making sourdough a little less intimidating. Once you figure out the process, it's pretty simple to incorporate it into your day. I love baking on the weekends. You can just do your stretch and folds in between cups of coffee, and it's really, really actually quite forgiving and very, very satisfying. Alrighty, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching, and big thanks to Helix Sleep for sponsoring this video. Take advantage of their New Year's exclusive partner sale. It's 27% off. You can click the link down below or head over to helixsleep.com/emmymade. Alrighty, lovelies, thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! I can't stop eating it. It's so good.